Today we're taking a look at these cute little Sakura Streaker markers, which are made specifically for cold weather, and we need to settle something by doing some tags with these Sakura Streakers. In a recent video, I said that I use these trusty Markal B paint sticks over Sakura Streakers usually because, for me personally, I have just found that these are the smoothest to write on, regardless of the temperature. Yes, although these Sakura Streakers are soft and very buttery, they don't tend to do so well on every surface in every temperature specifically, like these trusty Markal B paint sticks do. And because of how well the Sakura Streaker markers did in our graffiti marker voting contest, making it to the semi-finals, by the way, I know that there are plenty of graffiti writers among you guys who love these Sakura Streaker markers. So since these Sakura Streakers say they write optimally in -40 degrees to 100 degrees Celsius weather, we're going to be doing a full surface tagging test with these Sakura Streakers made for low temperatures in some low temperatures, as well as some normal temperatures, to really test out how versatile these Sakura Streaker markers are. And not only that, we'll also be comparing them side by side to these trusty good old Markal B paint sticks that I love so much, so that I can tell you firsthand which one is softer to write with on those colder surfaces. So I don't want to go over everything about these Sakura Streaker markers because most graffiti artists know a thing or two about Sakura Streaker solid paint sticks. If you do want more information on Sakura markers, you can click the link in the corner or in the description to my review specifically of Sakura solid markers, the regular ones. It's a very quick and straight to the point review of Sakura markers. So instead, I will tell you the 3 main things that I think you need to know about these Sakura solid markers. Number 1, these are solid sticks just like most other solid sticks are. They come in this sort of mini slim size that they're calling it, which the technical name of it is, let me find the technical name because I'm not going to remember. It's the XSCM-T solid Sakura paint sticks. Don't ask me why the name is so ludicrous. I don't know, and there's probably no good reason for it. But they come in this slim size as well as a more normal size that's closer to that. For this slim size, what you do is you decap them and push from the bottom here to extend the paint stick upward. For the bigger ones, they have that nice twist up system just like the normal Sakura Streakers do. These little guys will cost you about $3.50 US each, and if you want a full size one, you'll get a bit more paint, so it's probably a little more worthwhile unless you have your heart set on the slim ones. They cost about $4 each. Now, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but that does mean that you can buy, for every one of these in the full size, you can buy 2 of the trusty Markal B paint sticks. So these better be good. And you could actually buy more like 2 Markal Bs for every one of these if you use my link in the description where I have a bulk pack for super cheap. You might want to check that out if you like using the Markal Bs fairly regularly. So with all that being said, let's head over to our surface testing area and to the great outdoors, where we'll be tagging up some subscribers' names and patrons' names from Patreon who have asked me for a hit off in a video. I'll see you over there. So let's start off on a normal white-ish surface in a normal sort of 20-degree room here, so we can really test out the opacity and the vibrancy of these Sakura low-temperature streaker markers compared to the Markal B paint sticks. Now, specifically in the vibrancy and opacity regard, the Sakura markers should do that a little bit better than the Markal B paint sticks, and that's partly because Markal B has never had the most vibrant colors, and also partially because Sakura in general tends to do that aspect of their paint sticks quite well. So it'll be exciting to see if that holds true when they mess around with the formula a little bit and optimize it for colder temperatures. And after that, we'll transition to testing these out in a more practical environment to tag in with those colder temperatures on colder surfaces. And I do want to say that in this case, my commentary on these will be even more important than usual, specifically because so much of how these Sakura Streakers perform form is by feel. Does it feel hard to write with? Does it feel nice and buttery and smooth? So there are a lot of aspects that the camera doesn't quite pick up, and you won't really be able to know unless you have them in your hand. So I'm going to do my best to commentate those aspects specifically to you guys, to give you guys the best idea of how these Sakura markers are, as well as I'll give you my commentary on sort of what I'm seeing in person with the vibrancy, the opacity, and of course while I write on the different surfaces, I'll have a beautiful little graphic on screen for you guys to let you know the temperature of the surface that these guys are writing on. The other thing I'll let you guys know is just how far these little guys are gonna go, how many tags sort of seems like you can get out of them compared to the Markal Bs here. And at the end, I will let you know if these are better, in my opinion, than the standard Markal B paint sticks, as well as if I think you, as a graffiti writer, should go out of your way to try these out for yourself and see how you like them. So with that being said, let's get some tags up here. So the first thing with these Sakura Streakers for cold weather that you are going to notice, or at least the first thing that stood out to me, is yeah, these things are just very, very smooth and vibrant because of how smooth they are. So they're smooth enough that you can get very clear, full lines that go right over sort of the grilled surface and make it very clear and readable, whereas the same thing in like a harder paint stick like the Markal B, granted on a very smooth surface, doesn't get that same vibrancy, but you can just tell the vibrancy and trueness of the color is just on point with these Sakura Streakers. One thing though I do want to mention right away that I have to show you is I obviously haven't been using this one for very long, and the actual mechanism that holds the paint up has broke, so I can just put that and the whole thing there has just collapsed. Since that has happened, this gives me a special opportunity to show you guys exactly how much of this paint stick is left, having done about 18 tags, I think, with it, 18 or 20. And if I just push this up as far as it can go, this much of this paint stick is left, pretty much the whole thing. I haven't even gotten through the whole tip yet. So in terms of the actual paint that's coming in here, that's great. Obviously this is going to take you quite far, even though it is small. In terms of the functionality of it, I don't really know what to do with this because the actual mechanism is sort of broken now, so that's really bad. And granted, that 18 or 20 tags, most of those are done on this very smooth, easy to write on surface. That won't be the case out in the wild necessarily. And again, taking over like a grilled surface proved that the opacity here is doing just fine. Certainly a lot better than what you're getting on a smooth surface, in particular with your Markal Bs that you're paying half the price for. So in terms of using these in those cold temperatures on some more common normal surfaces, I did find they wrote very, very smoothly. They maintained on different surfaces in the cold, vibrancy and the opacity. So that's very, very nice to see. That being said, I'm sure you'll see with the Markal B as well a little bit that the surfaces that are a little rougher out in the cold, the Markal B does a lot better than on this surface here that we have in our testing area. One of our testing areas is about as bad to write on as any surface with the Markal, so it's not really fair to the Markal per se. The only thing that I'm really not enjoying about these Sakura Streakers, specifically in this size, is just I find them too small. I don't like how small these are. I would recommend for the extra 50 cents just getting the full size version, because you'll be getting 2, 3, maybe even 4 times as much paint in there, and it's just a nicer size to work with, a more common size. Could just be me not writing with things this small very often. Maybe it just feels a little awkward to me, but I would feel a lot better with a full-size one of these if I were you. And I have to recommend that doubly after seeing the push-up system here malfunction as quickly as it has. That's not impressive at all, and it's actually really concerning because I don't even know what to do with this now. Like, you can push that right down. So if these are gonna break, then that's real bad. There's no other way to put that. The full-size version having that twist-up system instead might solve that problem, and it might not be worth risking getting these for that reason alone. But with that being said, I did tell you guys at the end that I would tell you if I was going to be using these, possibly for cold weather, instead of my handy, trusty Markal B paint sticks. If you do want to know that, let's have a little chat. Okay, so now it's time for us to talk about if you should be using these, trying these Sakura Streakers for cold weather out. And specifically, I want to let you guys know, as someone who uses the Markal B paint stick pretty religiously, if I'm going to be continuing to use these Sakura Streakers. And I think you need to approach this from two different points of view. The first thing about these is the formula turned out to be gorgeous. It was very nice to write with on a plethora of surfaces and temperatures, really. The vibrancy, the opacity stood up really well. They're very nice to write with in that regard. But in terms of the actual design, they got it all wrong, and that's just the truth. As soon as I tried to use this in a more practical environment, this happened. I can't press it down to a surface anymore and still have it work. That is a big problem. Secondly, and something I didn't really notice at the time until just trying this out now, I thought maybe this could push the thing up. That's not how it works. That would have been a nice thing to include in the design for them. Also, this cap here, it doesn't fit on the back, so this cap, you can't really put it anywhere. It's really actually quite annoying. So my solution to that is, I would say this. Given how soft this paint is, even in cold environments, and how smooth it writes, what I would say is worth a try, in my opinion, and what I would like to do maybe when I have a bit extra cash, is I'd like to buy these but in the full size, so that I'm not dealing with the imperfections of whatever this smaller, slimmer design was supposed to be, and instead I'm hopefully dealing with a more classically well-engineered Sakura marker that still has the benefit of giving you the great formula that they've engineered inside of it. And with how soft these are, I think buying one of these in the full size for the price of two of those Markal B paint sticks will last you about the same time. The formula is soft enough that you're not going to be pressing down, wasting a lot of your paint like you will with these Markal Bs just to make a mark on the surface. The full size ones of these Sakura Streakers are more like this. They have this twist up thing at the back and they're about this size. This is not a Sakura one. This is actually a hand mixed solid paint stick, which I have a review of out on the channel right now. These are sort of like Sakuras but on steroids. So if you want to check out one of the highest quality solid paint sticks on the market, then you might want to check out this video linked on screen right now. As always, if you enjoyed it, get involved if you've used any of these in the comments. I hope to see you over in the hand mix review soon. Until then,